Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest Segue Sunday. Today, it's Ask a Psychic Day. So, hopefully, you brought your questions, your curiosity, and anything you want to know that hopefully just the three of us can answer. Dee is, I believe, at church, so it's just the three of us today. And so, if anybody is in the chat room has any questions, please feel free to ask. Until we get any questions, we'll just chat about the latest stuff we've done, I suppose. Not much else we can do. So you can unmute yourselves. Sorry about that, Joel. You said the Umbrella Academy was great.
Yeah, I like the musical score, especially, but the one that resonates with me the most is Deadly Class. They have like all the music that we used to listen to in high school because it happens like right in that time frame. It's super cool, and both are done by great comic book publishers. Deadly Class is done by Image, and Dark Horse was the original one for Umbrella Academy. Super cool for all you nerds and geeks out there. How's everybody doing? How's everybody's week been going?
My week's been okay, except for allergies like crazy. Been driving me up one wall and down the other. So we got Diana with us.
Hello.
So, I just wish Dee was here. She usually has lots of stuff she wants to discuss, and it gets everything kind of interesting. So,
well, I had an interesting experience this week. If we don't have anything to talk about,
yeah, go for it.
So I took my first yoga class this week, and when it started, I'm laying down on the mat, and they had us close our eyes, and there was suddenly I'm looking down at this little girl. And she was like a 9-year-old Indian girl. She had like short, scruffy hair, and she was standing in between two people, but I couldn't see them. I could just see their sides, and I could see her, and it was almost like she was in a photograph or a drawing, like a black and white drawing. And I'm looking at her, and she's really clear. And then I open my eyes, and then I close them again, and she's still there. And I asked her what her name was, and she said Asha. And then it looked like someone had dropped a drop of water on her face, and the ink started spreading, and like her face started like stretching, and then she disappeared. It was really weird. I don't know who it was, but it was really interesting.
That's cool. You're starting to see things while just, I guess, doing yoga as a meditative thing. That's very neat.
Yeah.
I knew that it was possible. You hear about it a lot with some people.
Oh, hey, Scarcity's here and has a couple of questions. That's cool.
Awesome.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah.
Hey, Sonia. Hi, Neil. That's duck sauce.
You guys must be on the YouTube.
Yep.
Yep. We're looking at the YouTube. That's where we get the questions.
YouTube, yeah. I guess I should.
It's like saying looking at the Facebook back when it was the Facebook, not just Facebook, the Facebook. It's YouTube. Sorry, getting silly here.
There we go. Ooh, that delay.
Yep.
I had to turn that off.
Yeah,
hello,
mute
everybody. 2 questions, and we are ready for your questions.
Yep.
Yeah, when you said hello, everybody, it reminded me of Benny Hill. You know, he'd do all the different accents from all the different parts of the British Empire. And he did the heaving a heavy body. Oh, yes, and he's good at heaving a heavy body. He says, no. Good heaving heavy body. I love Benny Hill. All the linguistic games he played were so amazingly funny. Made you think about words in a completely different way. He was amazing.
Okay, so Scarcity has a question. Would I be able to put something in a non-physical focus, forget about it completely, and come back to see it there?
Well, that's an interesting question because I'm not exactly sure how to quantify it. Would I be able to put something in a non-physical focus?
In other words, would he be able to make a focus on the astral plane or another plane of existence and it still be there?
It depends on how much energy you invest. If it's a crafted item, usually creating a physical focus creates something that's astral more readily. But in theory, you should be able to create an entire sanctums. That's how thou matter just work. We create our sanctum, and it's not here. It's not in this world. Sorry,
I don't understand anything about the question. So
yes, that would be a yes.
Do you have like a focus for dummies so that I can understand it too?
Unfortunately,
or maybe anyone watching, like inexperienced people who are watching, who don't understand what he asked.
I guess it's kind of yeah, you could. Yeah, you could. That it takes a lot of energy and a lot of focus to do it. A lot of intent.
You're supposed to define the thing without saying the thing. With points deducted for this round, Joel.
It's a circular definition.
Okay, let me try this again. It takes a lot of mental focus.
No.
And
he says, like if I wrote a whole essay about something in a non-physical focus and forgot about it. In theory, that's how a lot of things in the astral work. It can be sometimes lost ideas, artwork, things like that, because in the astral they continue to exist even beyond once you sat down and penned it. Like I wish Dawn was here because she could back me up. When you look at a computer screen of somebody who's writing an essay or something, you can get what they're writing, but the computer itself is untouchable and unreadable. You can't even look at it. I mean, you can, but it's just a bright thing illuminating the person in front of it. But what they're crafting exists because it's not the medium it's on, but the fact that it's a creative thing and it continues to exist regardless of what it is that they're putting it on. Just like whether it was painting or a poem or sculpture, whatever. Can I send you the link for what? If there's a 60-second delay on this when I told it to have a no delay, it's just going to be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I set it to like 0 delay, it still ends up being at least.
We don't have an actual show on this subject matter, and he wants to come to Google Hang. He wants
to come in and ask a question. Okay, hold on a second.
Get him in here. Get him back.
Okay. So, but this is going to be like a phone-in thing. If you want to come in and ask, yeah, you do the whatever, and then we'll do like Brent and say, sorry, it's your time is up, and etc. But it's not because we don't want you to be around. It's just because we're going to have to make room if people are going to ask questions like that. No other reason. So let me get this. Okay, close that out, and let's see. Where's your email? What's your email again, Scarcity? Actually, if it's Crazy Monkey, I think I've still got it. Yep, got it. All right, here's the new link. And this goes for anybody else. If you want to join in, if it's a question that's a really big one that you want to come in and ask us, just let me know. We'll send you the link. You can pop on board, ask questions, etc. And then we'll make way for the next set of people.
Etc. Etc. Etc.
Etc. Etc. Etc. That was the guy who actually in real life bred the kitty cats like Looney was. My Looney, the cow money. The dude was brilliantly smart, learned languages really fast, and decided that the cow money were a precious breed in Siam that he wanted to protect. Hi, Scarcity.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey.
Oh,
Hey, everyone.
So fire away, man.
All right. So, I mean, like, if I was to do something in like a non-physical focus, like in the astrals, or make something, like create something with like thought form and just leave it there and forget about it completely, would I be able to go back and just see it there still? Like, even if I forgot about it?
Yes.
yeah. I mean, that's possible. You probably want to do it someplace where you would go back to.
And someplace that's not likely to be molested or the winds, because there is a wind that blows through the astral that can and you can there's storms too, especially if there's real storms in the area that can knock things away that aren't anchored down or protected by other living things in the area. Unless, of course, you invest it with a lot of energy, like I was saying, the sanctum that thaumaturgists use. We craft it as a separate part within the astral. It's called a demi plane, and wow, this is going to get really deep. So let me not go that far. So yeah, the simple answer is yes, but it's also needs to be protected, and it also needs to be anchored down, and also basically somehow made so they can't be molested wherever you put it.
Okay. So what about if I like put in my subconscious?
Well, in your subconscious is then going to be beyond your is not in the astral. The subconscious itself is within you.
So no one would be able to touch it or mess with it.
Then that's inside your head rather than in the astral plane itself. See, if you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons, there was an ability called Leomund's Secret Chest, which allowed you to be able to store something on the astral plane by storing it in a container on the prime material. That's the only way that I can think of for you to maintain something in the astral, which is to have an icon of it here on the physical. Even if it's something that doesn't contain the item, you basically put something that is meant to be a representative of it on the astral within the chest itself, and it doesn't move. So you'd be able to recover it without that. Once it again comes back to a physical focus, and the real world maintains a focus in the astral. Sorry, Joel. I'm talking.
No, I didn't. I wasn't. The only thing I can think I was going to add to that is if you're talking about putting something in subconscious, the only problem with that is getting back to your subconscious to get it out. I mean, that would be the issue in itself. I mean, I guess it can manifest itself in like a dream, in like when you dream walk or when you go into a dream realm. I imagine that would be one way that will come out of your subconscious, but I mean, that's a whole nother set of problems that you're dealing with.
In the end, it comes back to how experienced you are with doing it, and how much you try to make it occur, and how often you're doing it so that you can keep accessing it. And you'd have to start small, keep doing it, and then undo it, then do it, undo it, and keep on accessing it and creating a new one so that you became experienced with it, which is what I had to do with my sanctum in order to be able to create a place where I was going to be safe no matter what when doing works and accessing other planes. I had to maintain it for a while without ever using it until I could actually make sure that it was going to be stable without conscious thought. There's a certain level of unconscious maintenance that has to happen for any thought form. Kids are able to do it easily. I maintained that through into my adulthood because I used to do it as a kid, and then found out that some of the things I was doing it with were externally conscious long before I ever found them. And so it takes that practice. It all comes back to meditation, focus, practice, repetition. I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
No problem.
My second question was, what would happen if you meditated, got out of body, and then meditated while you were out of body?
Well, while you're out of body, meditation is there's nothing to meditate on, because meditating is actually putting your physical brain into a state where you're able to access external consciousness. The whole idea of being able to reach higher states of consciousness while you're astral or external from yourself comes from the idea of interpreting new thought forms, new thought patterns, usually done by meditating or thinking while you're astral on well, let me put it to you this way. Some people look at some artwork, statues, paintings, and all they see is, oh, look, there's a abstract of these people, and there must be doing blah blah. But a person who's gifted, who meditates and then senses the artwork, can sometimes see a mental roadmap back to what that person was thinking about. This is why we were talking about foci earlier, the focus, okay, and leaving a physical focus for you to follow. And we see a map back to that person's thoughts, which is why I can't look very long at Van Gogh's stuff, because it is wickedly deep. It's and a lot of what he sees is what I see before a sudden flash of my brain's about to download information from the background, from everything, and everything goes just lens flare. There's no way else to explain it, and all the connections start to happen, and I start to lose it, which happened when passing through Marysville most recently. And that is a kind of a roadmap to the artist's thought patterns. And that's how, when you're on the astral plane, you access these other thought impressions and planes that are glimpsed by other people. And that's the closest thing you get to meditation in the astral plane, is following these breadcrumb trails like that. I hope that helps. Joel?
I got nothing on that one.
Sorry, yeah, it's a more hermetic thing than it is a shaman thing. Shamans have your spirit animal guides to take you where you need to learn these things. But hermetic for us, it's artwork, it's poetry, it's music, it's these things. Well, while we're like, I will meditate while listening to certain pieces of music, and it will take me to different places. When we were younger, it was Enya. And now I listen to different artists' music, and it helps me focus, and I get to that nirvanist meditation within minutes, or even just a few seconds, depending on the music. And there's quite a few pieces of it like that on YouTube. I should probably put a link to some of them, because the last few nights when I couldn't sleep, I would meditate, and it was really quite moving. The places that I would glimpse while I was just taking a trip around, just the astral plane in this area, just running around while meditating and focusing. It was really beautiful. But that's the closest thing I can come up with to the answer for what you're asking. There might be people more experienced than myself.
I've never tried to meditate after I got to a point of being out of my body from meditation, because I would just continue to meditate. Like, I would just continue with the stillness in my
like being. You would forget about the astral projecting.
I would just be like, when I realized like I was no longer in my physical form, I would just, the whole point for some of my meditation is to be in the moment. So once I realized that I was out of my physical form, I recognize that and then let that pass, so I can continue to be in that exact moment of being. I don't know if that makes any sense to you or not.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
So I've never really tried to, like, oh, I'm out of my body, so now I'm gonna meditate in my astral form. There was no need, because I just would just continue once I realized like I was out I was in my astral form.
The closest thing I can think of to why it doesn't work is like if you're asleep and you fall asleep and then you're lucid sleep dreaming, and you go, well, okay, what happens if I try to fall asleep in my dreams? And then you lay down and you realize nothing happens. You're just like, oh yeah, I'm trying to fall asleep in my sleep, and there's just no more layers for you to go through like that. It's a different pathing. It's a different way of getting to the next level. Once I found out about the metaplanes, that there was something further beyond. Oh Jesus, I'm using a movie term. Christ, I didn't even mean to. If there's something more out there, farther away, and deeper into the other realms, then figuring out how to get there was the next difficult part. Because meditation, true, it's you being in the moment, but it's also being in the moment while focusing on your abilities. And once you're into the astral plane, you're now into those abilities that you're focusing to unlock. So hopefully that helps.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, and Sonia asked a question. What if you have the same dream over and over again and wake up feeling the same pain you suffered in the dream? Joel stepped away, so Sephora, got anything?
I don't know. I mean, I've had dreams like that, sort of, but I don't know. I mean, like I've had dreams where I see something in the dream and I wake up and it's still in the room, like it's there right in front of me. Um,
See,
I don't know. I don't know if this is another astral question because
it is.
that sounds like stuff you guys have gone through, but I haven't. So yeah, I don't know.
It really is astral. It's when you're dreaming like that and you keep feeling the same pain. And let's say, okay, first of all, you'd have to eliminate the other possibilities, like what's causing it. If you don't know what's causing it, like if it's the bed. Now, Joel and I, we went over this when it was happening to us, to make sure that there wasn't like something in the bed or something lumpy or something possibly causing some of these injuries or pain when you come back. Because if you sleep in a bad position, a muscle spasm can feel like somebody was punching you. But if you got a bruise or a mark or whatever, and we definitely had that, then it's an indicator that it's probably not the bed and it's probably not the way you slept, but it's entirely possible it could be. If they're sleeping in the same position, and some people do that, then you have to eliminate that first. There's just some people out there who don't actually turn to find more comfortable positions, and so the same area can hurt. Changing pillows might be a good idea, but once again, if you've eliminated all of that, if you've gotten past all of that, and there absolutely that this person's waking up and they're in pain because they keep having the same dream, that means that they're walking into an astral loop, which is they've now moved past the astrals to the astral's edge to the beginning of the metaplanes. And they're constantly walking into the same thing, not learning the lesson that they're supposed to learn to move on to the next portion. Because, boy, if I was to describe some of these fever dreams that I've had to go through in order to be able to move through and learn what I'm supposed to learn on the edge of the metaplanes, y'all would think I'm flipping crazy, or I sat down and did some kind of heavy drug and just decided to write it down like the guy who wrote that one poem. But it is very hairy and weird, and it doesn't get any less strange. The things that you see don't become any less strange, and it can just keep circling back if you don't figure out what you're meant to learn in them. And of course, so the pain that they suffer is something hitting them that because they hadn't learned what it is they need to do differently and to take conscious control of what's occurring. In these occasions, you can't be a passive watcher, and that's what we are, generally speaking. We dream, and so we passively watch, just like we're in front of the TV and we just passively watch. You actually have to do like the way that my son Trevor explains it. You got to take control of this Nintendo system and grab those controllers and go for it. So so in a situation like that, she needs to be less passive and see if controlling it doesn't change it. Now, this doesn't mean that she may not get struck and get the pain, but it may change what we used to call when we would have a dream fasting. You'll alter the dreamscape to the next point of interest. And I'll open the floor to Joel.
No, I think that was a great. I think that was a great explanation.
Don't do this to me. You got to add something because Diane keeps telling me I talk all over you, and you never get a chance to talk, and I'm feeling guilty.
Well, I mean, I really don't know what else to say about that, especially, it's not, and young people, that they're not getting bed sores from sleeping that long, and having a bruise or ecchymosis is quite different from like laying on something bad in your bed. So that's an easy one to be able to eliminate. And what he's saying about it makes sense. What he's saying is about having a more active role in your dream once you figure out that you're dreaming is definitely a thing. You're not going to progress. I'm trying to think of a good. It's like if you go down a tunnel and you get to an invisible, pliable barrier and you just keep gently pushing against it instead of finding an opening that you can go through it. That's kind of what you're experiencing when you hit that that edge of the metaplanes that Sean was talking about. So it's definitely like, I mean, you hit all the points. The only thing
I keep stealing your thunder.
No. Yeah, I expect this.
Now, do you think that makes it any less? I'm less guilty. I expect this. I expect you to steal my thunder. Oh.
No, well, I mean, like I expect we follow the same wavelength. Our thought process kind of.
I don't want. Even though they come here to hear you, Lando. Okay.
No, they don't.
Welcome to the cool side of the pillow, Peter.
Yeah, but I think what he's saying is super good. Keep a dream journal, see what's going on, figure out what it is that's why you keep having it. It could be the watcher that's keeping you from the next level because you're not ready to get there. And because you're not ready to get there, you're not trying to figure out a way to get to the other side. That kind of stuff is there for protection for people who aren't quite ready to progress.
Yeah, think of the watcher as a gatekeeper who's going to keep you from accidentally going where no one has gone before, because the metaplanes is not something you can just snap your fingers and you just pull yourself back from it. It takes a lot more than that, or you have to have a lot more experience so you can reel yourself back in. It's not totally instantaneous. Like on the Astral, no matter how far away you are, if you have a good grasp on your position, you can just reel yourself back into your body in like half a second, unless you're really far away, and then it's a bit of a strain, which is why when I helped Sonia out in in England, because of her that mirror that her mother got her. Oh wow. Why do you hate mirrors? Oh, I don't know. Right. And then pulling myself back to here took like 2 or 3 seconds. I remember counting the number of breaths between there and getting back to here. I'm like, wow, this is pretty bad. It is a one heck of a long haul.
I'm sorry, what was that? I had to talk to my better half.
Just giving a relative distance explanation. See, now Neil says, speaking of which, Sean, I did as you advised. I spoke to the thing, speaking to me as if it was an external entity. What is the purpose of this? The answer is to irritate you. See? A direct interrogative of something external it'll either demand an answer or it'll rock it back on its heels. That's how I learned that the thing, whatever that shadow thing was that kept on trying to kill me, was putting thoughts in my head to kill myself. It really wanted me dead. It wanted me dead for a long time. It wanted to include my energy. It It's a version of a hollow from what I've managed to get out of my guardians and from Airmid, and that's the reason why it wanted me gone, is because in order to continue, it needs large amounts of energy, and hollows will consume astral bodies to continue to exist, and forcibly integrating people into their matrix against their will and trapping them forever. It's literally the real hell. There's no hell that you go to and you burn in a lake of fire. The Bible even says so. The hell is not a place for humans. It is a place that demons and the damned go, and humanity cannot be damned. We live within the grace of God according to the scripture itself. So the whole Miltonian idea of going to hell is just crazy. But this is the closest thing you can get to that forcible integration into a thing that will make you live your worst nightmares forever in order to continue its existence, as tortured as it is, because it's afraid to move on. Sorry.
Why are you sorry?
Because I start talking about this stuff and everybody goes, "Oh, we should be quiet." I don't want you to all be quiet.
I'm listening because I don't know anything about it. I'm learning.
Well, nobody's going to want to talk over this. I mean, we want to make sure that as you're answering the question, people can hear what's going on. Last thing they want them to do is to have the comic relief, just like, the peanut gallery chiming in.
You're not the comic relief. If anything, I'm the comic relief. Bart, they said you was hung.
They be right.
So Neil says it's only happened twice in the few weeks since you and he spoke, which is a dramatic reduction. However, his dreams have ramped up tremendously, and he's starting to see patterns, hidden meanings in the dreams. Sleep has suffered greatly, but he's finding meaning in them.
Okay, so that means you finally got past the sticking point that the thing was probably hanging you behind. Once you make a leap past something holding you back, then your mental abilities and anything that's been lying underneath the surface will bubble to the surface and start. That's one of the things that I'd noticed is, and I think Dawn was also saying this on the interview, was that these things try to keep you afraid so that you literally don't put your head up and realize you've got the juice to be able to get ahead and get away and be able to grow stronger. And fear is the first mechanism they try to launch at you. Normally, I got the full-fledged I'm going to kill you mode with that hollow thing that followed me from Wales. And I'm grateful that everybody doesn't experience that one straight off the bat, because that's a far more severe way of making sure you don't progress. But fear is, we're gonna steal from the best Frank Herbert. Fear is the little death inside you. Fear is the mind killer. It's how everything is abated, how every bit of progress is curtailed.
I've got another good one. Fear is false evidence appearing real.
I like you.
Answers hidden nuggets like how-tos on moving past my. Well, there you go. And I would definitely recommend Neil also looking at some of the what's her name again? Sephora, the psychologist, the counselor on
Chris Godinez.
There we go.
I'll put a link to her show in the comments here, because oh my god, she's amazing. If you're ever having problems with PTSD or coming out of abusive relationships or childhood trauma, go to her channel. She will tell it to you straight, and she'll tell you a ton of times, because the abused brain has to hear something about 200 times before it finally sinks in. So she'll just keep repeating it for you. She's great.
I've been watching her in order to try and get past some of the stuff I've been having to deal with other people who have like my father has narcissistic personality disorder. People that I associated with later in life also did that. Didn't realize, but because they were considerably more sneaky than my father. My father was ham-handed with his abuses, but I'm watching her stuff on PTSD and CPTSD. That's the reason why I gave you some of the advice that I gave you, because I've learned it from her as well as from my own life, especially with external things trying to set it off. If an external entity knows what sets off your CPTSD, they'll hit it as hard as they can, especially when you're not expecting it. And Joel and I learned to call that ego whipping, because it'll happen and it'll keep on hitting you and hitting you and hitting you. And when I was younger, it would put me into a fetal position in the shower. When I was 16, 17 years old, it would literally beat me into a corner. And I didn't know what was setting it off, because I didn't think that anything external could do that until I explained it to Joel. And Joel says, well, maybe it's something outside of yourself. And so we learned how to build the barriers high, but it doesn't take away the underlying cause that you have CPTSD. And if I saw something that would set me off, like, I don't know, seeing the Tower of London, that was a fun one. Took nearly 28 years for that to stop setting me off. Yeah, that one. And that was for complex other reasons, which were metaphysical.
Yeah, I had one where if I saw a white van, I would freak out, because I rented a room from a crazy woman in college, and she had a white van. And so afterwards, every time I saw a white van for, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, I would just go, ah, like it might be her. But
Diana, if you're having trouble sleeping and dreaming, high levels of melatonin can help, but sun theanine is a fantastic relaxer to help the melatonin, help your brain get to delta pattern sleep so that you can dream. When it comes to supplements, I know tons about these sort of things. And also, if you can stand valerian root, which I can't, oh my God, this stuff smells awful. It can help you with relaxation, but catnip is better smelling and works better.
or lavender.
Well, some people don't respond to lavender that way for knocking them out. I mean, I could drink
lavender.
It doesn't.
I love lavender.
Doesn't make me sleepy at all. But
Chamomile?
chamomile
One of my favorites.
tends to drop your blood pressure, and that helps too.
Chamomile knocks me out. I can't get near it. It's like instant. It's like my kryptonite.
Good to know.
Oh, and and my therapist friend totally agrees with you about whys. The whats are more important than the whys. And I learned about what because of my own experience, but also I have a deductive brain, and I can usually figure out most murder mysteries within the first 5 minutes of any of them. In fact, I usually don't try not to watch commercials of these things, because the commercials will give it all away. And it's all predicated on understanding that what is a more important avenue to chase than any of the other interrogatives. So I should probably put down about the sun theanine. By the way, it is sun theanine and not regular theanine. Sun theanine is actually grown from food. Theanine itself is in normal pill form is a synthetic, and your body goes, what's this? Sun theanine is actually extracted from green tea. So it works pretty well. And pharma GABA is extracted from kimchi.
Another one of my favorite foods. I like fermented foods.
Yeah, fermented foods are great. I tried making my own sauerkraut, but I only succeeded once.
Well, you just got to figure out what you did that first time.
Not grow mold on it. I don't know what happened. I live in Oregon. It's very moldy. It's hard to do fermented stuff here.
I made a pretty good meat in Coos Bay, Oregon. And talk about moist and moldy. Yes.
So the Fae folk took several things from my house and then returned them after. Now, this is a funny thing, because when you get a mental block on something, it can sometimes be because they're going to go, let's see if he can get past this and remember that this was in the house. And they took several things out, and everybody in the house like, oh, we don't remember you ever having that. It's like BS. It's and then worked on it and finally brought it to mind, the nasal spray. There's a few other things, including some tweezers. It was ridiculous, the number of things that they brought back in just a couple of days, because I forced past their little blockage. When they want to play games with you, it's hard to separate a brain fart from them going, yes, we're going to put a little nugget of blockage right here, so you can't remember that this was here, and then you're going to go crazy looking for it. And the following day, once I remembered, and they put it back while I was asleep. You know, there's these little pixies, and
mine like to, the ones around me like to move things or like hide things from me, and then let my family find it for me, like within the first couple of times that they look for things, which is so not right. Because everybody's like, "You're so absent-minded." I'm like, "Yeah, Alzheimer, great."
it was on the, was it last Segue Sunday? I think it was. And Zafora and I were talking, and I'm sitting here at my desk, which is, and the stuff was suddenly back there this morning. That morning, I'm like, it's like, you friggin' pixies, right? And,
Yeah,
so,
and then later that week, Dee lost her tarot cards that she needed for the other show, and and I was like, well, maybe either the Pixies took them or someone's trying to teach you a tough love lesson that you don't need your cards this week.
well, she found them, so it's probably just the pixies going, we're going to put these over here at whatever where you can see them.
Did she use them on the show? I only tuned in for like the last 45 minutes.
I don't know. I only got the last 30, I think, when she was talking about the portal that we dealt with.
Yeah.
That was where it was. It's like, D, please, you're making it sound like we're the freaking X-Men. Don't do that. Or it's like, keep a little bit closer to your chest. No. Oh, darn.
Oh, Neil has an interesting question. Sean, I know you said it was me and not the music, but have any of you looked into the idea of the weaponization of music? Music's being created for a specific purpose.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? Zephora, you're a singer, so you can add. So,
I use music not for weaponization. I've never done that, but I suppose it could be. I mean, but I use music to um channel energy, channel um words from the gods that they want people to hear, and just a lot of energy, and it's like a version of meditation for me. But I suppose if I'm able to infuse good things into the music that other people can hear, which I have verified because some of these things, a couple of the songs have been heard by a lot of people, and I just see the same comments over and over again in, in the comment section of the video, where they're just like, "Oh my God," like writing poetry or talking about how it inspires them, and it's all like the same theme. And I'm like, yep, that's what was going into the music. So I suppose if you're putting good things into the music, I suppose you could put bad things into the music, but I don't recommend it, and I would not advise that at all, because that's going to come back anything you put out there is going to come back at you. So you don't want to put negative stuff out there or hurt people, because that's going to come back at you. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, if you were to go into the historical of this, the reason why Gregorian chant is all in major keys is because, according to the church, minor keys of music induced evil within the body and within the mind, etc. So the church stayed away from that. I swear. You think I'm joking on this one? This is.
I'm laughing at them. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at them, because almost everything I do of my own work, I do almost everything in minor keys, and it's all very positive. So they're full of crap. But
we know,
but I believe you.
This is now. When I was in the California Boys Choir, this is one of the many things that I learned in music history from masters in music, and this is one of the ones that just literally blew my mind. It's like, are you joking? I was trained by some of the best in Codaly and in musical history and theory, and I never appreciated it until I got older. So this is one of the things that I remember was in the classes, and I thought, okay, it doesn't sound very valid, but of course, this is from a primitive folk trying to find the devil everywhere. And so more music is more intent. And it's just like with any painting, it's all intent. And if you cannot go at something without will, daring, etc., if you don't go at it like that, then you have no control. You're surrendering control. But it's it all has to be done with an intention. And if it's done with a negative intention and you have a gifted enough person behind it, theoretically speaking, not only can you weaponize it, but you can turn it into something which can cause lamentable effects in a person. And I'm just like Zephora, I'm going to say, don't do this, obviously. But if you're going to be stupid enough to do it, what happens to you is all on you. Now, the idea of direct weaponization, any piece of music, if it has a strong enough resonance within you, is possible. Aramid, when Joel and I were chasing after something in somebody who used to be on the channel's family's home, we were clearing it out, and this place was,
I'll be right back.
It was a hideous gross fest of crap. And this one of the things had decided to hide in a mirror, and Aramid says to me, just sing. Just sing what? Just anything. So I'm like, oh, okay. And so I sang at the mirror, and the thing got popped out because my intention and the music was to go after it. So intention shapes it, will shapes it, daring shapes it, knowledge shapes it. And so it worked. And there are times when I will use music that gives me a more rapid access to energy just because I want a shortcut, not because I need it, but because if I want to go from 0 to 1,000 miles an hour in about 60 seconds, it helps, because otherwise I have to ramp it up over the course of about 5 minutes, which for anybody who watches Dragon Ball, there's a difference between Goku going straight to Saiyan Blue or he has to shout for 30 minutes in order to be able to get to Super Saiyan 1. I'd rather get there so the audience doesn't have to wait so long, if you know what I mean. These are ha-has, but it's like that. I don't want to do the slow ramp up when it's an emergency, especially when dealing with children who are in a bad position. So, but yeah, and I hope that answers the question a little better.
Yeah, it's funny how superstitious people get about music, because I remember, when I was going to church, I was working at a Christian camp in the summertime, and because I played guitar, I was kind of like one of the designated, like, do all the campfires, do all the vespers person. And I remember hanging out before one of the vespers, and there was a song that everyone liked. I did not like the song. It was really cheesy. It was really terrible. And but we had to play it every single time. And so before the Vespers, I'm hanging out, and just as a musical theory exercise, I decided to play it in a minor key, just to see what it sounded like, and to try to like get my brain to shift the notes to the appropriate places. That's it. That's all I was doing. Everyone freaked out, and they're like, "You've desecrated this song. You've turned it evil." I'm like, "No, no, I haven't." It was really funny. They flipped their lids. I mean, it was.
See, I've never really encountered an evil song. I do believe that you could probably craft them, but you also have to remember that there's not many people out there who are gifted in a way that could turn a thing weaponized for evil. Well, there's oh my gosh, it's a cheesy Netflix movie called The Velvet Buzzsaw, where some guy turns his paintings to evil effect, and because they weren't destroyed when he died, they start sending negative metaphysical things to kill the people who own them. It's I have never seen anything like that happen. It's based on the urban legend of the paintings that could not be burned in Europe. It turns out that this is because they were painted on extremely heat resistant material. So they'd find them in the midst of these home fires not burnt down. Number one is because they're prolific and they were everywhere. Number two is because they just couldn't be burned. It has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that they were just extremely burn resistant and designed that way because the guy wanted them to last.
Asbestos canvases or something?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to go and look up the story. It was the urban legend that those caused the fires, even though they were just present because they couldn't be burned in the fires because the paintings were so prolifically made.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the sad children. The one with the kids looking sadly on the paintings. I'd have to look that up, but that's where these ideas come from. That something can be more easily weaponized for negative. On the other hand, most music is usually inspirational, and the people who create it don't usually invest anything in it other than to make you feel good, and in some cases, to move you, because that's what the person is usually going through when they're singing. In my case, I know there's a difference between when I put my heart into it and when I'm trying to stay detached from it. According to this forum, it sounds timid, which I agree, because I'm trying to keep from having too much emotional investment in songs that will make me cry. And we convey that, and you can feel it. And when you get that emotional connection, it can really move you and sometimes inspire or drive you on to do other things. But using music to do a negative, not only it's theoretically possible, but never come across it. Not saying it doesn't exist, but fortunately, I've never dealt with it.
Yeah, I've never. Go ahead.
I found the article on the paintings. They were by Bruno Amadio.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There's the idea of mainstream music had a spell cast over it to influence people. Yeah, I've never encountered a song that will actually it's like it's interpretational too.
Rebecca Black's Friday. That's an evil song.
Never heard it. Thankfully.
Oh God, don't ever listen to it.
That bad,
It's just
huh?
it's a really bad song, and it's an earworm. It's a bit of a meme.
Oh, the Lavender Town song. Yeah, there's also supposed to be in video games. There's supposed to be an evil song in the original Ocarina of Time where they have the chanting, and it's they took out the chanting because reasons. I wouldn't fret too much about that one either. It's usually when you hear it's all so interpretational, and I've never heard of people say, I heard this song and it just moved me and I was forced to jump off of a building. If it has happened, it's been so rare that people have
I don't think something like that would be directly from the song. I think it would be the song touched something in you that was already there, but it could just be true of any music.
Yeah, considering it's all very personal.
Yeah.
I do know that there are some sound waves affect water and the way that it freezes, and you can tell that there's a negativity to it, because the normal beautiful patterns that things have especially when water freezes, the crystals form very pretty patterns. But some words, because they carry an energy emphasis behind it, not the word itself, causes very strange patterns in those crystals. In the wavelengths. Oh, I used to listen to I played the original Pokemon with Lavender City music. It never caused me to even think once about suicide. I would have to say it's a crazy myth.
Oh my God. Diana says, no, I will say music is used in the military to desensitize you. We march to cadences talking about shitting up playgrounds and schools, and those cadences are still used. That's horrifying.
Wow.
That is very true from my military experience. But I don't necessarily know if it's I don't know, like, well, I guess in a way it was kind of desynthesizing.
Well, it's not the music itself; it'd be the repetition. It's constantly telling your brain if you're constantly marching to a cadence where you're talking about doing the same thing over and over again. Then that's not the music as much as it is going to be the constantly bombarding your brain with the same thoughts over and over again. Yes, tomorrow I will kill. Yes, tomorrow I will kill. Yes, tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. And I think like in that way maybe you could influence people, but I mean, you're not going to be able to hit somebody that often, that many times where you're going to be able to do that. And even when I was in the military, like even the cadences didn't make me feel like, like, yeah, it's going to be easy to shoot somebody from doing the from all the marching. But I mean, I can't say anything. I was in the Air Force, so our basic training is probably one of the shortest. So
well, it also comes back to the idea of brainwashing too. The whole military precept is insufficient food, insufficient sleep, scarcity of peace, and constantly bombarding the brain with things that are counter to what they thought before, and just finding different ways to be able to keep on pushing it into the consciousness. Taking that to its extreme end is brainwashing, where they don't let you sleep. They don't give you any food. They keep you moving. They keep bombarding you with ideas, shouting at you, never giving you a moment to relax. And that forces you to be like the jumpy rabbit on the electrical panel. So eventually you just start to accept the new thought patterns as quickly as possible in order to get relief. And I hate to say it, but the military is there to reprogram you into what they need. And that's what you're signing up for. And which is why my martial arts teacher, who was an Army Ranger, in Vietnam, said, "I'm never letting you go into the military. I will kill you first, Sean." So I said, "Well, isn't that like a good place to learn?" He says, "Not what you need to learn." I said, "Well, how do you know what I need to learn?" He says, "Because I've been there." And so he says, "I would hate to see you lose the character that I see in you now. And I don't want you to become what they want you to be. I want you to be what you were meant to be." I was like, "Oh, okay." So it's one of the, you have to bow to someone else's wisdom. Oh, that got painfully quiet.
Sorry.
I'm sorry too.
I was just contemplating everything you said.
Yeah, I was just out of change environments.
Anybody got any more questions? I know it's a 60-second delay, despite the fact I fight it. Wait for somebody to say something. That reminds me of a joke. It's not coming to the mind right now.
Well, you said waiting for somebody to say something, so something.
Now, aside from the joke, then there's the song "Say Something, I'm Giving Up on You."
We're not giving up on the audience. We're just coming to the end of the show. We've only got a few minutes left.
And yes. I will swallow my pride. I'm still learning to love.
Very nice.
My version of the song is not about sitting there and being mopey. It's when I did it on SingSnap, it was to make every passage sound like a sob. And I had all these. If you were back to the music that can inspire, I had people messaging me that says, "You made me cry." I'm like, sorry.
That was a compliment. You should say thank you.
Made them feel, made them emote.
So that's the power of some of these songs, and that's the power I'm used to putting behind the music, because it's actually got a name that Joel and I discovered, that Piers Anthony discovered it, so we discovered it from him. Thank you, Piers. And it's called Blue Adeptry, and there's all these different colors that are behind him, and I can't see. Joel was going to ask Neil. He gets he focuses through dance. Was that green? Because I know it wasn't black, and it definitely wasn't yellow, because yellow was the evil eye, and which was horrible intent by a aggressive countenance. And crap, I can't remember.
I don't remember. It's been so long.
And brown is golem creation and crafting, and yellow is creating the potions and medallions and crafting stuff like that. God, I can't remember them all.
I'm gonna have to reread that series now.
I can't remember what it was. I can't remember the adept color. But yeah, anybody who uses voice and music and is blue. So, and I'm very fortunate that now I'm not alone, because I've got Sephora and Diana. So it's like, oh, did you find it? Yes, it works. Yes, it works. I'm not crazy. Thank you. It's like the safe way for you. Yes, thanks. Thank you. Finally, I get some validation.
Yeah, you are that crazy, but just in a different way.
Diana says she has a dumb question.
There are no
Cool.
dumb questions, only dumb answers.
I like
All right.
dumb questions.
And Joel, you're saying there, yes, I am that kind of crazy. Go on. Go on. I like it when you call me crazy.
Yes.
Can your spirit guides, etc., affect your behavior? Yep.
This one's for Joel. For Joel. Joel's going to be on this one because this is Joel's expertise. Everybody make way for Joel.
Can they affect your behaviors? Well, I guess they can influence your behavior because they will constantly give you guidance or advice. So in that way, yes, but they won't ever impose their will on you. That's not
No.
how they work. So I'm not sure if that's what you was asking, because if you're asking can they impose their will on you, no. They can give you impressions of things that are happening. Like say if are supposed to meet somebody and that person walks by, they might influence you that way, by like giving you that intuition, that nudge that, oh, look at this person over here, this person you need to talk to. In that way, yes, but not impose their own will in a way
Yeah.
that's nefarious or anything like that. I guess it wouldn't be nefarious if they were your spirit guides.
Well,
No.
she's asking with regards to smoking. Now, in regards to that,
Oh,
now
I think they could help you with that if that's something that you want help with. You can ask them to help you with getting over that habit. But you would have to like earnestly want that, and you would have to ask them to help you with that. It's not something that they're going to do on their own. They must have gotten if they do it without you like consciously asking, they must have caught on with your intent that you needed to stop or you wanted to stop for some reason.
Now, I'm going to add my 2 cents in on this one because this one's one that is probably it's the deepest answer I've ever seen about anything that we do in a given life. In a movie called Dead Again, Robin Williams plays this guy who was previously a counselor, a psychologist or something, and he had an issue. He would fall in love with the people he was taking care of, and so he lost his license to practice. But in this movie with Kenneth Branagh and I can't remember his wife at the time, they were apparently living lives, and then they would keep swapping positions each time they would come back, and so they would fall in love again, and the cycle would repeat over and over again because there was some.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Well, they actually throw this one at you up front, and so
No, I love, well, the swapping part was the twist, but I love that movie.
but Robin Williams had to explain to Kenneth Branagh's character, he calls it, well, hey, you a-hole, are you a smoker or aren't you? He says, well, I'm trying to quit. It's like, well, you have to either decide what you're going to be in this life, because you either let yourself be what you're supposed to be, or you give up this crap that you're trying to adopt. And that's what happens to people, is they pick up something that they was never intended, that they're not supposed to be, that they were never meant to do. And it just happens, like in my case was eating wheat, because of course my family was eating wheat and it messed up my stomach. And in this life, you were probably this was never one of the things that was outlaid for your path to include. And somehow you got on it, and now something finally, as you're moving forward, reasserted itself. It's like, hey, you know what? The pattern for your life before you were born was already set, and this was not supposed to be part of it. And all of a sudden you become cognizant of, it's like, oh, that's not me. That was never me. And you suddenly go, oh, and you put it down and walk away. So I hope that's a good answer, because that's some best thing that I'd gotten from Robin Williams, because that was one of those things where I used to do things and have that same feeling. It's like, why am I doing this if it's not me? If this is not who I am, I mean, I'm literally affecting something that was never me in order to be, I guess, more amenable to other people. And so I just tossed it aside and decided to finally just be myself. And probably the story I told you, Diana, about my grandfather was the impetus to help you realize, like, yeah, you know what? You can just put this down. You can just walk away. Because it simply doesn't have to be you, because if the core of you was never this smoker, then you could just walk away from it.
Yeah, but speaking as a biologist, I don't want people listening to think that it's easy to stop smoking. You can just walk away from it. You know, there's a physiological thing you have to overcome where you have something in your brain called nicotinamide receptors, and the nicotine binds to that. Your neurons all have a certain amount, and then when you constantly bombard it with nicotine, your brain cells say, "Oh, we don't need that many receptors because we got plenty of nicotine here." So they downregulate those receptors. Then when you stop smoking, your brain's like, "Oh God, where'd all the nicotine go?" And it takes your brain a while to regrow those receptors. So in the meantime, quitting, like if you taper down, it makes it a lot easier. So I don't want anyone to listen to this and think like, oh, I should be able to just walk away from smoking and there's something wrong with me if I can't. There's not anything wrong with you. That's totally normal. But what he's talking about is a mindset of, if you view yourself as a smoker, you'll continue to be a smoker. If you view yourself as a non-smoker, you'll find it easier to quit because you're going to be taking advantage of opportunities. You're going to be changing your mindset and how you view the behavior. It's the same thing with, being overweight or, I don't know, anything. If you're constantly thinking of yourself as a fat person, you're more likely to, fail at your diets and not go to the gym and, do all the things that you would otherwise do if you were thinking of yourself as, I'm a fit person. If you think of yourself as like a fit person, then you're going to be wanting to go to the gym because that's what fit people do. So anyway.
I didn't mean to imply that it was a simple thing. My grandfather did it for me, and it took him a while. But the way that he did it was he realized he needed to make a safe place for me, and he did it. And his way of doing it was changing his oral fixation from cigarettes to butterscotch candies, lemon heads, stuff like that. And that was how he swapped it out. And that was the story that I told Diana, because it was my grandfather. Our relationship was really hella complex. It was really, really complex. And to explain it, I mean, he was the only person that this hollow couldn't affect. So he wouldn't come close to the house as long as my grandfather was there, because we used to live in a duplex, and as long as he was next door, this thing didn't come near. And when my mom made them move away because of the divorce, and the last of my protection was gone. Dumbledore is killed and been dropped from the tower. So I was done. I couldn't, I had to do it all on my own at the age of 10, 11. And it was, he was my last bastion to be able to hide near when this thing decided to mess with my life.
We should just retitle this episode "Spoiler Alert." I'm glad Dawn's not on this show today because she hasn't read the books yet. She just started.
Which book? Which book?
Harry Potter.
Oh my gosh. I thought by now everybody'd even at least seen the movie.
She hasn't seen the movies and she hasn't read the books. I just got her started on reading the books.
So
it's a good thing she decided not to be on today.
Yeah.
Not to. There's a reason why her intuition kicked in, and it was like, nope, you are not going on this show.
You're good. You're gonna ruin it for me.
Sean is just gonna spoil everything today.
Oh my God, Joel, stop packing my bags for the guilt trip, man. I'm gonna kick your ass up around your ears. Do not.
Hold on, I'll drive. I'm sure there's something I can help
the bags
with
for your guilt trip.
There's no need
around Joel. There's no need. You guys. You guys strap me down and rake me across the coals whenever you can. So, gosh, I'm already sensitive.
Oh my God!
I feel like Curly sometimes when Mo hits him in the head with the sledgehammer. Hey, you're not supposed to do that. I'm not normal.
Yeah. Yeah, my job at work is to make sure people don't forget things that's happened. So why stop there?
Oh, you also have to Neil, nicotine receptors in the body are not exactly nicotine receptors, they're niacin receptors. They changed the name of vitamin B3 from nicotinic acid to niacin because it made it sound like it was, nicotine. It's not.
Nicotinamide. Yeah, it's not nicotine, but nicotine does bind to them. And also, so Neil was asking, fat cells once created in the body will shrink, but never truly go away. Perhaps nicotine receptors work the same way. Once created, they always exist. No, actually, your cells, receptors on your cells can be broken down and then rebuilt. And that's why it takes so long to quit smoking, because it takes time for your body to ramp up those signals to say, okay, build the receptors again. That takes a while. So no, it's different.
And also keep in mind, a lot of poisons that are out there do their damage by mimicking natural good things for you. That's just one. That's one example. Niacin, nicotinic acid is a natural thing for your system you need. It's B3, and a lot of poisons out there mimic the functions of other natural substances to do their deadly work.
Well, so what happens is it's not an intentional thing. Like, you're totally right. Just to clarify, it's just that those molecules have similar shapes that fit in the same puzzle slots. So like each receptor is kind of like a hole in a puzzle, right? And then molecules need to be a certain shape to connect into that slot. And so niacin has a certain shape that connects to that receptor, but nicotine also has the same shape on it that can also connect to that receptor. So that's why they do that. That's why you can have competitive binding, competitive inhibition, things like that with different molecules because they have the same shapes on them.
It's the way that sugar does its damage because it looks so similar to ascorbic acid. They're just a slight difference in the way that they're shaped, and because they can get into the cells and compete for placement, and they do a lot of cellular damage and cause cells to be more fragile because they're not a repair material. They don't promote collagen, and so but because they have a similar appearance, the damage occurs. So, that's enough for a science lesson for today. Sorry.
No, let's do a science show
Breaking
now.
Bad.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Here comes the Breaking Bad quote: "Science, bitch."
We're gonna, if we were monetized, this would get us demonetized. So.
This is my home turf.
I love it.
I'm ready for the science.
This is like biochem and micro and physiology all wrapped up into one for me. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed this show so much.
Just for the people who don't think we actually approach this from a scientific standpoint, or at the very least, we're not. We are the least gullible people out there. So if somebody shows us something and we know it's fake, it's like, nope, fake. Or it's like with pictures, with some of these videos, there's a ghost in here, and I look, it's like, really? Ha ha ha! I don't see anything. It's like, how can you tell? It's like, that's my juice right there. I'm the one who's constantly drinking it. If you give me anything above a 480 pixel picture and there's a ghost in it, I'll definitely be able to tell you where they all are. I can just circle them for you. You just tell me. It's like, and when they're not there, and the next thing I go is I look to see if somebody's actually put a string in place and then I can tell you how it's done. When we actually see the real deals and we tell you, look, here's a fantastic example of the real stuff, and it's usually the rarer things out there, and a lot of people don't even get to see. Like, one of the guys who was on our show, he was one who told us about a friend of his who had actually caught a walking spirit, and it was what they caught on film was the after image of the thing having moved through the picture. I can see the aura in front of it because the shadow was way behind it. It was incredible. It was awesome. It was so awesome.
It was awesome.
I remember that. And if we tell people that these things are out there, we don't want you to be credulous and like everything that gets put up is for real, because we're not telling you that. We're the exact opposite. We go, yeah, fake. Oh, look, this one's real.
Another demonetized moment.
My reaction was pretty raw. Yeah, Joel had a visceral response. He was jumping out of his chair and everything. His response was like, "How could you not feel this?" Like, Joel, it's like the movie, you know, the Dead Heat. It's like, we're not all zombies, Doug. They're not all psychic out there. So how could you not feel it? Because not everybody's going to have our abilities. Where the thing is walking around and we're turning around, going, Maybe I'm oversimplifying, but that's the truth. It's something like that appears, and Diane, Zephora, Dawn, Joel, myself, we're gonna try and go, oh, when did you get here? But the rest of the world, they're blithe. They keep on talking. Look, we're doing this interview, and the thing's gonna do a photobomb moment and walk through the back of the picture.
Yeah. No, that's oof.
Oh. Well, anyway, yeah, I've been trained to question things because I was a neuroscientist for 16 years. So, I don't believe everything. I'm quite a bit of a skeptic, but at the same time, once I see the evidence, once there's evidence, I'm like, oh, okay, well, there you go.
It's kind of what you have to do as a nurse too. You have to look for things and piece the puzzle together, get a bigger picture before you can make that. But then again, we had to go through a lot of, we had to learn a lot of scientific process because we use a lot of applied science, which for all those people who like to Google their symptoms, I applaud you, but please do what your nurse tells you to do. Okay, off my soapbox. I'm done.
For somebody like myself, when I see BS moments and people are insisting, "Oh, this is the real thing, isn't it amazing?" No. I say, well, why do you want to slap this whole thing down? I don't. It's not real. When I see a thing that isn't real, I'm going to share it with you because I don't want you to believe absolutely everything you see, because then you're going to think that the least factual thing is that I don't want you credulous. We have an extra ability to discern that's slightly unfair, that lets us see, feel, or when the thing's not real. But if you believe everything you see, then you start getting misinformation into the programming, and we'd rather because there's a lot stranger and more amazing things out there that are real than you'll see on these videos, and they'll try to keep you scared. Mostly what they want is for you to be frightened, shock, and awe, rather than feeling the amazing wonder. I used to start the show with, come in and walk in wonder with me, because there's amazing things out there. There's way better things to see, way more fantastic things to see, way more pleasant things to experience. You don't have to go to a haunted house and have the living, crap scared out of you. You can go to the silent movie theater in Hollywood and sit with, I've forgotten his name, the ghost of what's his name, Junior, the guy used to do all of his own stunts and stuff, and watch it be in the auras and the energy and the artwork of these fantastic experiences, and have a positive, uplifting, wonderful metaphysical experience with ghosts that are not here to go oogie boogie, run for your life, and you have you all running out the theater like Scuba and Shaggy, like, Raggy, we better get running. Like, holy crap, Scoob, we better run.
True that.
So, nobody's got any more questions, but they're all discussing. I don't want to close this down because they're all talking.
If well, look at the time. I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah, we're past time.
Yeah.
See, if we shut the program down, then that means they can't chat anymore. Well, what?
They can continue in the comments if they want to.
The other thing you can do is continue you can also go to the Facebook page, and you can you click on the Facebook link and go there and continue discussions in threads. You can start them there, or you can talk to us and continue discussing amongst yourselves on the Magic Oak Paranormal page. Let me see if I can get the link.
Plug.
Well, it's mostly for their benefit. Don't.
I know. No. That's good. I'm just Just putting it out there. It's not a shame. I didn't say shameless plug. I just said plug. It's good. It's good. These discussions, I like them.
Okay, let me put this in there. There we go. All right, everybody. Well, if you like what you've seen here, like, comment, subscribe, click that bell icon so that you get notified, because it is currently, even the bell icon is not a guarantee that you're going to get told about the shows. We're learning from YouTube that they are playing fast and loose with their own rules. So, next episode is going to be this Wednesday. We're going to have Deb Varner on. No, she is not going to be prognosticating and seeing your future. You can ask her questions about how she developed, how she learned, things that happened in her life, and that will be at noon Pacific Standard Time on Wednesday, the 20th. So, bring your questions. If you have any other questions for us, please take them to the Facebook page. You can get them directly to us. The entire team has access to them except for Dawn, but Zephora should be able to route them to her. I haven't got you on there, Zephora, yet as an admin, so that we can route you the questions yet, but we can still do that if you ever want to.
What? We need to get on that.
Yeah, because we just got Diane in there, and that was hard enough because she thought, oh, you're going to assign me. It's like, I'm trying to explain how this thing works, and you're freaking out because somebody treated you bad today. Take it easy on me. And it finally got her calmed down. She understood. In any case, until next we meet, stay blessed, folks, and love you all. Not cutting it short so Joel has a chance to chime in.
Oh, no, nothing this time.